Hello everyone, my name is Ziamaro and welcome to Battlerite Sage. Today I'd like to get into something a little more advanced and cerebral. Up until now I've covered different kinds of mechanics, positioning and stuff like that, but there's another skill that you need to develop if you want to climb in SoloQ. Reading your teammates. So if you're brand new to the game, you probably have a bunch of mechanical stuff that you still need to figure out. In which case I would suggest watching some of the Battlerite basics videos on this channel. However, if you're anywhere around mid-silver or above, I would say that being able to read your teammates is going to help you climb much more than any mechanical skill will. Your mechanics will naturally improve as you go along, so make sure you're not developing any bad habits, but let's put that on the back burner for now. I was inspired to make this video because I've been sitting in Linkster's Discord server, and I've seen an awful lot of people, particularly around silver and gold, saying their teammates are holding them back. They don't take the orb, they chase behind walls, they make bad trades and all that sort of bad stuff. Not only that, but when you explain to them where they're going wrong, they don't listen. Well, we've all been there, but what if I told you it's still you that's holding you back? You can't control what your team does. You can only predict what they might do. The rest of the video may seem a little confusing because I'm almost asking you to ignore everything you know about correct gameplay. It's important to know how to play correctly for later on, but when you're in silver, gold, and even above, correct gameplay doesn't really mean anything. Now don't get me wrong, there are mechanical barriers between each league, but the most stark difference is the ability to play with the team. So you know it's technically correct to pressure the enemy out of the middle, and if they fall back to their spawn, you just take the orb and keep zoning them. But what if your ally Rygon just has it out for the enemy Lucy and carries on chasing down? You can do the correct thing and stay in the middle, but then you're leaving Rygon totally unsupported. If he dies, even if it's because of technically bad positioning, there's something you could have done, so it's kind of your fault too. How about we flip the perspective for a second? You know when you start a round and the enemy plays hyper aggressive and you can barely get out of spawn? The melee champions just dive right at you, your teammates don't peel for you, and you feel like you can't do anything. This situation is usually created by that incorrect play that I mentioned before. So when you have an overly aggressive teammate, you have two choices. You can play correctly and stay in the middle, or you can amplify their playstyle and play hyper aggressive with them. That doesn't mean play stupidly. If you're a healer, you do still need to heal. And if you're a DPS, you still need to position yourself correctly, but you're positioning yourself relative to where the fight is happening. But by playing together, you're going to have a much stronger chance of winning. The same thing applies when your team plays overly defensive. This is a mistake that ranged and supports make more often, so if you're a melee player, this probably bothers you more than overly aggressive players. Sometimes your ranged teammates will play right in the back like they're scared of the enemy, and if you're a melee player, you probably want to put some pressure on the enemy backline to help secure middle control. But if your team are hanging back in spawn and getting trained by the enemy Shifu, you might be better making the incorrect play and go back to peel the Shifu, even if that means losing the orb. Yes, the orb is important, but playing as a team is even more important. So what I'm saying is you need to watch your teammates and amplify whatever they're doing. Even if it's the wrong thing that they're doing, it's better that you do the wrong thing together than one person does the correct thing and someone else plays overly aggressive or overly defensive. So how do you read your team? Honestly, you just need to watch and learn from them. The first round may be a throwaway unless you've played with them before. Just play how you would normally play, but pay attention to what your teammates are doing. If they play aggressively, then try and push up with them. If they play scared, then try and peel for them and create as much pressure as you can. I think the best way to explain is to show you some gameplay. The footage I've been showing in the background is an absolutely hellish game I was playing last night. Not because my team were bad, they were both very good actually, but they had totally different playstyles, so trying to play around both of them was really difficult. The Freya was hyper aggressive, and I've been trying as best I can to try and support that hyper aggressive playstyle, while the Alicia had a much more passive and correct playstyle. I'm actually much more comfortable with the way Alicia plays, but I can't just leave the Freya unsupported. So let's have a look at one of the shorter rounds. As you can see, the Freya is like way in the back line, while me and the Alicia are kind of with the Ashka. So I have two choices here. I can stay in mid with the Ashka, or I can help out the Freya because they're in a 2v1 right now. Now where I am right now is not a place I would normally want to be, but this was the way the Freya was playing, so I did my best to just support the playstyle and move up with them. The Alicia was the higher rank of the two DPS, so I presumed that they would just kind of take our lead and move with us. So as you can see, we didn't really make the correct play, we didn't really take middle control, but the amount of pressure we put out by playing as a team meant that we could secure the first kill and then we got the round. Now let's have a look at a round where trying to force the correct positioning actually lost us the round. So I fear the enemy Shifu, and really we should have just left him there and then focused on the rest of them, but our Shifu chases him down. So in the interest of playing as a team, I go with him and try and gank the Shifu. This isn't really the position we want to be in, but we were at a health advantage. But unfortunately the Shifu tries to get back to mid, which is technically where you want to be, but instead of pressuring them back, he just forces his way through. So clearly the guy identified, right, we don't want to be here anymore, and tries to get in a better position. But I think this illustrates quite nicely that when you're in a bad position, it's better to just carry on playing as a team than to try and correct your positioning. It's actually quite interesting because this is a very similar problem to what you see in Overwatch, which is another game that I play. The main difference you see between Diamonds and Masters in that game is their ability to read the team. Mechanically, there isn't an awful lot of difference between Diamond and Masters. In Diamond, you have this mix of people who play quite passive and correctly, and then people who are still mechanically very good but play overly aggressive. You still get these two different types of people in Masters and above, but at the higher ranks, people look what their team does and just go with it, even if it's the wrong thing to do. If you play with a pre-made team, then it's easier to understand what people do and go with it. But in SoloQ, I think one of the greatest skills you can have is learning to play with a lot of different types of playstyles. So if you take away anything from watching this video, I urge you to stop blaming your teammates and think about what you can do to make what they're doing work. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, then please feel free to subscribe for more Battlerite guides, news and discussion. Until next time, thank you for watching and I'll see you soon. Correctly?